And the temporary 2nd Avenue bike lane will be open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. I also want to make sure that cyclists are aware that both routes will be subject to security checks and occasional unannounced traffic freezes. My colleagues and I cannot stress enough that next week Midtown will see some of the slowest traffic speeds of the year. If you do not have to drive, please use alternative modes of transportation. And in fact, some of these, including cycling, as just announced in our mobility report, are actually faster to use to get around Midtown than driving in a vehicle. And with new protected bicycle lanes popping up throughout Manhattan and the other boroughs, including on 52nd and 55th Streets here in Manhattan, we're trying to make the ride easier and more enjoyable than ever before. I would just like to thank some of my DOT colleagues who really helped make this possible, including Hayes Lord from our bicycle unit, Colleen Chattergoon from my own office, Michelle Cosick and our team at Strategic Communications, as well as our Office of Special Events. Now I'd like to bring up NYPD Chief of Transportation, Tom Tran.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioner Picard, Commissioner Abou-Wadena, elected officials, and our guests here today. The opening of the 74th UN General Assembly brings not only a gathering of leaders of the world, but also a unique task for maintaining and upholding the everyday pace of New York City. As such, the NYPD remains and reminds our commuters who travel by vehicle to avoid the East Midtown during the United Nations General Assembly and to expect possible delays and also street closures. Those that choose not to utilize public transportation and drive in the area must allow for extra time to travel and also to exercise caution behind the wheel, remembering to yield to our bicyclists and also our pedestrians. This year marks the first time that the bike lane access will be maintained through the security zone along 1st and 2nd Avenue. We have worked collaboratively with our partners in the Department of Transportation to facilitate the movement of bicyclists during the assembly. Cyclists on both routes, however, should be aware that they will be subject to security checkpoints and occasionally unannounced traffic freezes. Next week, as the heads of state arrive, the eyes of the world will be once again on New York City. Rest assured that our focus will be keeping our city moving and keeping it safe for everyone as securely as possible. Please pay attention. One thing I want to remind all of our motorists, at the beginning of the month, we mentioned that we will have increased enforcement out there. I've asked the motorists to pay attention while making left turns. 3 times is more dangerous for our pedestrian and our bicyclists out there. We will continue the crackdown through the month of September. In the first week of September, the NYPD issued over 2,200 summonses for right-of-way, failure to yield the right-of-way. So again, drivers beware as you travel throughout the city itself. And again, we have our children back in school. There are additional cameras throughout the city that are monitoring the speed. So please be careful as you drive throughout our city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Captain Wynn, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I would just like to take a moment to thank everybody that worked with us to get the bike lanes into the UN General Assembly plan this year. That's within our own department, Chief of Transportation, Borough Chief Stephen Hughes, Special Events Chief James Keogh, as well as our colleagues over at the Department of Transportation. It took a lot of people to kind of put this together, get the materials, get the plan together. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you.
We're also very happy to be joined by Assemblymember Dan Court. Assemblymember, would you like to say something?
Just say a couple words. Assemblymember Dan Court, this is the district I'm lucky enough to represent. Next week is a great week because it reinforces something very important for New York City, that we are a world capital and that we welcome the world here once again for UN Week. But that also poses various challenges spelled out by the DOT and our officers from the 17th Precinct. So with that in mind, it's very important that we reduce car traffic in and around the Central Business District, East Midtown during next week. Everyone should make alternative plans and to ensure safety, as the officer said, with so many children and nannies with strollers and so many other things. We have to reduce the number of cars in and around the central business district. It's an important week. We go forward as a great capital of this world, but also we're cognizant of the safety requirements. So I would urge everyone, if possible, to reduce transit trips through cars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Assembly Member. And now from the Mayor's Office of International Affairs, Deputy Commissioner Aissata M.B. Kamara. Commissioner?
My name is Aissata Kamara, and I am the Deputy Commissioner for Operations in the New York City Mayor's Office for International Affairs. Our thanks to DOT and NYPD for maintaining bicycle access along First Avenue and Second Avenue during the General Assembly week and for their tireless work. The Mayor's Office for International Affairs understands firsthand how the opening of the General Assembly can affect New Yorkers' daily routine. While barricades and street closures are a challenge, hosting the United Nations is a great benefit to New Yorkers. The UN community contributes nearly $3.7 billion to our local economy, draws a lot of welcome foot traffic to our local businesses, and gives New Yorkers a voice on the global stage. New York City also gets a chance to showcase the innovative ways that we are tackling issues such as poverty, gender equity, and climate change. Even our youth benefit. Through our New York City Junior Ambassadors, young people from across the 5 boroughs are able to engage with world leaders, and they are learning how to bring positive change to their own communities. Hosting the UN General Assembly is a challenge, yes, but the measures we're putting in place today will go a long way in ensuring that all New Yorkers are able to meet these challenges. Thank you again to our colleagues at NYPD and DOT for their hard work, and we really wish everyone a great General Assembly week. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kamara. DOT had a great summer filled with bike safety announcements, and I'm very happy to say that Sharon Pope from Bike New York was there with us at every one of them, and I'm so pleased that we're kicking off the fall with a similar note. So Sharon, could you say some words?
Thank you. Wow. It is great news that the city's General Assembly Traffic Operation Plan will acknowledge and facilitate East Side bike traffic for the very first time. Yes, awesome. Kudos to DOT and NYPD leadership for addressing an issue that we've raised. It is so exciting to see DOT and police leadership department provide the robust bike plans for First and Second Avenues that are presented here today. Indeed, when a city says it wants to encourage bike riding and begins to build out a bike network, New York cyclists implement routines around using their bikes on the bike network. As with highways, streets, and mass transit, the bike network also requires reroutes and detours when special circumstances warrant, as reflected in this plan. Lastly, the General Assembly takes up the issue of sustainable development goals. Critically important, but while simultaneously displacing bike riders on the east side of Manhattan. Now, with this plan in place, it is truly commendable that New York is doing its part on the global environmental stage as well. Many, many thanks to DOT and to NYPD.
Thank you, Sharon. And now I'd like to invite Laura Fox from Lyft and the Citi Bike team to come and mention a few words. As I said in my remarks, our mobility report just released says that it is quicker to get around Midtown Manhattan on a bike than by a car or any other mode of transportation, and we're very happy for Laura's support.
Thanks, Ed. Good morning, everyone. My name is Laura Fox, and I'm the new general manager in New York here for Citi Bike. It's great to be here with DOT, NYPD, Bike New York, Mayor's Office of International Affairs, and others. It's been a pretty amazing summer for Citi Bike. We've broken records more than 10 times over the course of the summer. And on our best days, we're reaching almost 95,000 riders. And it kind of makes sense. Riding a bike is one of the fastest ways to get around the city and beat traffic. Like DOT's mobility report demonstrated this year, even on an average weekday, and we know the gridlock days are far extreme than average, Citi Bike trips are typically about 7 minutes faster than taking a taxi in Midtown. So during this year's UN General Assembly, we want to make it easy for anyone to take out a bike and save time, whether you're a first-time rider or have used Citi Bike for years. That's why we're offering a big discount on our 3-day pass. From September 23rd through the 30th, you can purchase a 3-day pass for the same price as our 1-day pass by using the code Gridlock19 in the Citi Bike app. And if you just want to try out a ride or two, open up your Lyft app, where you can now unlock any of our 14,000 bikes for only $3. Finally, I'm sure that I speak for Citi Bike members everywhere in thanking the de Blasio administration for preserving access to the 1st and 2nd Avenue bike lanes this year. It'll make a huge difference for thousands of everyday New Yorkers like us. And as always, thank you to DOT for keeping cyclists top of mind and for being a fantastic partner to us at Lyft and Citi Bike. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And with that, I think we're ready to answer any questions you may have.
You mentioned that cyclists might have to be screened at security checkpoints along the way. Will that be sort of random, and how will that work, and what should people know about that to make that useful?
What happened is that we're talking about at this entry point here, right below us at 39th Street, where they enter and they'll be going below this particular area. We'll be working closely with the Secret Service, and again, it may be during specific times when they are allowed to go through. And again, if other vehicular traffic is allowed, they will be going through also. But again, they may freeze the route when we have motorcades that are going through, or and again, overhead and things of that nature. So again, that checkpoint will be, if it's going to be vehicles, there'll be also our bicyclists at the same time.
So vehicles and bikes subject to the same.
Right. And what happened is that, again, as you see, the barrels will be dividing the tunnel on the east side, on the west side of the street over here below us.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, R. Got this.
He's coming soon.